IVM.
Hey everybody, welcome to another week on the IVM Podcast Network. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Paytm Money Upfront. We're still in lockdown and we're trying our best to make our releases work, but we are occasionally getting a little late or slipping on some episodes. Hope that you guys continue to remain patient with us. Check out our social media accounts. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We're doing something over there called the IVM Smart Guide. A bunch of our hosts are talking about things to do during the lockdown, books, movies, podcasts, etc. Check it out. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. And let's get you onto your show right now.
Hi, I'm Zarina Poonawalla, your peak performance coach, life coach, emotional intelligence practitioner, and NLP practitioner. I'm also the founder of Abzo Expertise Unique, and my organization constantly aims at building leaders across continents. After having worked with so many dynamic business honchos, entrepreneurs, startups, CEOs, management gurus, parents, and student communities worldwide, I am convinced that every individual has unleashed potential, and all we really need to do is realize it. Watch the magic unfold, enhance quality of life, relationships, and professions. On my show, be ready for some riveting conversations with inspirational people, snippets, stories, and much more. So here I am on this exceptional journey to find empowerment and inspiration anywhere I can. Come join me on this breathtaking path of self-realization, potential maximization, positivity, and most of all, embrace your inner power. You are on your way to empowering yourselves. Welcome to the Empowering Series with Zarina Poonawalla. On today's episode, I'm in conversation with a dynamic duo and the founders of a luxury footwear brand, Churchill & Company. So please welcome Abhishek Chopra and Sagar Sareen. Hi Abhishek, hi Sagar.
Hi Zarina, how are you?
Hi Zarina.
I'm good, thank you. How's the lockdown treating you guys?
Well, not the best. It's not the best time, but yes, we are pampering ourselves and we are focusing on a few other things. So that's about it for now.
Sagar, how about you?
So yes, on the similar lines, yes. So, just working around few things and planning for the, once the lockdown gets over. So that's what.
Sagar is focusing a lot on bodybuilding, which he's not telling you. I'll probably be, eating a Rambo once the lockdown is over. I'm looking forward to that.
That's interesting. We can get a few tips even on that bit from Sagar in that case, because I'm sure people out there are trying to become fit. You know how you have these memes going on these days about either going to come back really big or you're going to come back really fit. So
I know.
Sagar might be
So
help
not only about bodybuilding, but then, cooking and everything.
He's been sending the entire team in Churchill like push-up challenges and other challenges every 2-3 days, and it's such a big problem because you have to do them because there's nothing else to do. So,
but I think that's the kind of motivation we all require currently, and I don't think a lot of people are able to find it. So kudos to Sagar for that.
Absolutely.
All right, so guys, let's just jump into this very interesting footwear brand that you came up with. That is your baby, Churchill & Company. How did it come into being?
Okay, a little bit of background. So I was working for an FMCG company. So I was there for about 5 years, and towards the last couple of years, Sagar and I would often get into discussions, and Sagar was working for Zomato at that time. We would often get into discussions about, how there is a certain part of quality footwear which is lacking.
Right.
Okay, so we would go out in the market, and so we were young and we had new jobs, so we were making decent money. So that's the time when you spend on yourself, you pamper yourself, and we'd often go out shopping, and footwear was something where we would always get stuck. Then, we started making international trips, and I would buy shoes, Sagar would buy shoes, and there would be a huge difference in terms of the quality, the fit, and the feel to the products that we were getting in India.
Sure.
Versus the products that, we'd probably get from, say, Europe, because Europe is the pioneer in leather footwear. Actually, the whole thing was Sagar's idea. And that's when he came up with a different name though. He came up with the whole concept of how we would approach this, not only
Right.
from a design perspective, but from a technology perspective. So the shoes that you see, while yes, all of our design language is very classic, the designs are deconstructed, they're very soft designs, they're very standard designs, but there is a lot of technology to it, be it the mold of the shoe, or be it how it is made, or the footbed technology that we are using. So that was a pretty interesting approach. That's how we started, and it took us about 2 years to set up the supply chain and get everything in process. And here we are. And I would say that we were right in identifying the gap, because there are tens of other international brands in India, but none of them are taking the Indian market seriously. They would focus on metros because obviously for them it wouldn't be financially viable to be everywhere. We are, Sagar, how many pin codes do we service right now?
Yeah, we are servicing around 25,000 pin codes nationally.
So
Wow.
So we are going pretty much everywhere. And it was from a distribution channel strategy perspective, we realized that yes, Amazon and Myntra, and at that time Jabong, all these guys were heavily investing in the infrastructure. So the platform was there for direct to consumer brands to really get in there and make themselves known. So the stage was laid, and we just thought that we should make the most of this tailwind. There is a gap in the market, the conditions are favorable, so why not?
It is quite a unique proposition, I have to say, because there is footwear brands and we have plenty of those in the market, and there is competition, but nonetheless, having your own sort of made in India created brand, which really let's say caters to the classy, elegant sort of footwear, but maybe at a viable, like you said, some places aren't very, very reasonable, or they're not able to give you the kind of quality for a good pricing range.
Yeah.
So you guys probably deliver in that gap, and that is amazing. It's a unique proposition, like I said.
Yes, we do. See, it's a hybrid model. So while we know that we have one of the best artisans in the world, our craftsmen are phenomenal. Like I would have loved to show you the factory if it was operational right now. But the guys who operate there, the skilled team is very, very good at what they do, and some of the European brands, would second that. However, in terms of picking the right raw materials is really important. That's where we thought that we would do sourcing of our materials from different parts of the world, and then bring them to our country and manufacture the product here. So we are in a way giving back to the society as well. We are creating a lot of jobs. It's a small facility, but yes, that's the setup we have right now.
That's quite nice to be able to make sure that you're able to employ people as well and get a good amount of artisans and experts on the job. That's quite interesting. Is any one of you from the footwear branding or styling industry by any chance, or did you just happen to do this?
No, I wouldn't call ourselves amateurs, but yeah, Sagar, please take that.
So yes, so none of us are from the background, but then like, since this is the driving force and we are really fond of the footwear, so hence we have been taking this up, and we've been showing interest. We have been designing stuff around it, and yes, I personally look into the production and all the quality checks, and how the leather and everything is happening, and how the leather is getting processed, what are the cutting patterns that we are taking on, and what are the sections that we're choosing, everything. So we take a lot of interest.
And over the years, we have been able to see, we've been, so broadly the first 2 years was a pre-operational period where we were not selling anything.
Yes.
So that was a time where I would say that our learning curve was pretty much, vertical. Even right now, every day is a new day. There are so many new techniques. There are so many new, processes that you can implement in shoemaking. It's mind-boggling. So
It is sounds very fascinating. The only reason I asked is because you guys sound like real experts in what you're doing. So that's the reason I asked you.
So yes, the 1 full year was only dedicated to getting, the footwear and the shoes right.
Lovely.
So yes.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, thanks.
Abhishek and Sagar, you guys, I believe you said you traveled together, probably exploring or getting the business together. So, does that make you friends, family, or business partners? Did the business bring you together?
See, fortunately, unfortunately, we are cousins. So
Oh, okay.
yes, so it's and it's been an interesting journey. I would say that because see, when you're dealing with acquaintances or unknown people or people who you meet come along midway either at college or at a job later on, the dynamics are different. Um, Here, I would say that there is. See, we both know each other personally. We've like so. Sagar, how old are you? 26, 27.
I'm 28.
You don't look a day older than 25. So
Yeah, but
like we've
that's
been
okay. Thanks.
pretty much with each other our entire life. So work.
Abhishek, are you 25? Abhishek.
No, I'm 32 now.
Okay, so basically, so you made Sagar a couple of years even younger to you now,
Yes.
and then you're complimenting him. So, which is
Yeah.
really cool in this whole cousin
And I promise
relationship.
you, I don't look a day older than 21.
Good for you.
We are in the indulgence space. Making people feel great and feel good is what we do. So we need to start that with ourselves.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So yeah, we've had our share of challenges. Um, However, there are a lot of times where one person has to step back and hear out the other guy, and then probably pick it up again later on a different time, um, and sort the issues out. So like by now you would have figured out that I am the guy who does like a lot of talking, and Sagar is usually the quieter guy. And
Yes.
I just feel that that's a very very good dynamic because it creates a very good balance. And thanks to Sagar, like this is when we hadn't even started. So when I was at Philip Morris and Sagar was at Zomato, he said that we will never bring work home. So we don't talk to our parents about smaller work issues or engagements.
Yes.
If we have I won't call it a fight, but if we have a challenging discussion at work, and 2 hours later we are going to a family gathering, or we are going out, we've been able to make that divide pretty well so far, I would say. Sagar?
Yes, absolutely. I would agree to Abhishek. Yes. So
Thank
yes.
God. I thought he
Yeah,
was
yeah.
going to disagree.
No, no, no,
He's
no,
a
no.
liar.
No, I was listening to what you were saying, and yes, I was agreeing to it. Yes, absolutely right.
But bringing that balance in, that was, to be honest, it was going to be my next question. How does that work when you're trying to balance the whole, relationship in terms of being family and having to see each other and maybe, conflicting in your ideas or thoughts sometimes where business is concerned? And then you've already answered that. So thanks for that. But it's pretty nice to see the professionalism you have.
Yes, we try. Like I'm not saying that it never it's never there.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are situations like we can't lie to each other about where we are going after work. So stuff like
Yes.
that, it's just,
Yeah.
but I think we are so far we are getting along.
Yeah, and the other thing you mentioned, about the balancing bit, where Abhishek, you're more of the person who's, front facing, and Sagar is usually the quiet one.
Yes.
I think that kind of a balance really brings out the best in two people. Sometimes it really helps to make sure that you know each other's strengths and weaknesses well enough to play around with them.
Yes.
and bring the best out of each other, right?
Absolutely. Yes, you're right. That makes that.
Absolutely right.
That's pretty cool. So, how about the fact that, we do have, like I mentioned earlier, a competitive industry in general, and you have international brands to
Yes.
stand against. You know how our minds work. We usually want to go for the international brands first.
Right.
It's just the way it is.
Right.
So it's, I think, just a retail or a buyer psychology. So what kind of challenges do you face in terms of having to make sure that your brand is making its way up and there is enough brand awareness, let's say, in terms of standing with all these other brands which are already well established in the market?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. See, this was when we were sitting down and doing our competitive analysis and building our whole brand framework. This did come to our mind because it would be natural for even for me to go and invest in a brand. You are not like our shoes are, we are in the premium category. We are not in the mass category. This is not an FMCG product. You invest in a pair of Churchill shoes and then you are, I wouldn't, like, stuck is not the right word, but they will be with you for the next 3 to 4 years at least, depending on how you keep them, probably longer. So it's any day easier for the end consumer to just go out and invest in a well-known branded product. So we have been, over the last couple of years, trying to communicate very effectively with our end consumers. Initially, getting the word out was very, very challenging. See, because the problem is that there will be 10 other brands out there who will claim that, oh, we are using the best leathers, we are using the best quality of soles, these are our processes, etc. But nobody ever talks about it. People say they're using the best leathers, but they may not be using the best cuts, as Sagar said.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
that's where the product kicks in. But are they using the highest quality of? So even in one lot of leather, there are, you segregate them in 4 parts, like grade A, B, C, D, like for the lack of a better explanation. And so are they using grade A? In grade A, are they using the best cuts that go on your shoe? So communicating this to the end consumer was our priority. We are a very new company. We are still learning. We don't have a huge customer base, but we have been able to develop a relatively smaller fan base. Our repeat clientele is very high. It is about 25-30% higher than industry average.
Wow,
Right.
that's a good number.
Yes.
So yes, so with the help of social media, with the help of focused brand campaigns, brand awareness campaigns, we have been able to. So we give equal weightage and time to, okay, now we'll inform our consumer about the technology we use. Now we'll tell them, what the brand ethos is, what does the brand stand for, and now we'll talk about comfort. And sometimes as you go along, you realize that, okay, fine, I was focusing only on point A in my marketing. However, the consumer is more concerned about point C. And I have point C, but the consumer doesn't know that I have it. So then, you probably make those tweaks and understand the consumer, because it didn't come to us as a surprise. But we did not expect that the young Indian gentlemen, as we call them, that's our target segment, they are a highly evolved lot who are very well informed. People come to us asking us questions about what construction are you using,
Absolutely.
what grade of leather are you using, and Sagar, you face these issues like your team.
Yes, so we get a lot of, people are literally, they know the material, they know the leather, they know what goes into the making.
So, people are aware. And when the product came out, instantly the first feedback was that, I bought these shoes from England, I bought these shoes from Italy, and your shoes remind us of those shoes. So,
Right.
from that perspective, yes, other brands are there. As I said earlier, we probably have an upper hand because our product is an Indian product, and I feel that Indian consumers are gentlemanly enough, I would say, to give homegrown brands an equal chance if the product quality is at par with international brands. And we have brought in all of the international processes, the best of all over the world. So all of our designing happens out of Northampton, England.
Wow. So you work out of England, basically.
No, so just the designing part. The factory is in India. Only the first process happens out of Northampton.
Churchill and Company is definitely English, so I am sure that that I would have expected that there is a little English connection there.
There's a
And I believe you studied in university as well.
Yes, so I was in England for a better part of my student life. So I graduated from Warwick, and but at that time, as such, I had never envisioned that we will be launching a product which would have its roots in terms of product development to England.
Right.
But we are a proper Indian brand at heart. And the funny part is that the name, yes, funny story. When Sagar and I started, there were about 10 or 11 names that Sagar had shortlisted, and we had to check if trademarks, etc., websites were available. And I still remember Sagar came up with a very interesting Finch and Co. or something like that. And we almost finalized that.
Yes, Finch Design Company.
And we just didn't, sometimes you just have that feeling that, yeah, it just like our gut was like, no, this doesn't sound right. And my dad was sitting in the other room on his Chesterfield sofa, all dressed up to go somewhere, and I just suddenly realized that so my dad's home name is Churchill.
Okay.
Because when he was born in the 60s, my great grandfather looked at him and he said that, oh, he's such a chubby baby, like I'm going to call him Churchill. And and it's ridiculous, that's how we said that this sounds perfect and let's go ahead with it. We checked the website, got the website, applied for the trademark, and that's it.
Sagar, I think you were saying something, and I believe that we got into conversation in the middle of that.
No, so it was just, about how we had names and then how we shortlisted it. And it was just regarding what Abhishek said. So yes, it's a very interesting story about Churchill and Company. That's how we got the name. Because I had done a lot of hard work and everything.
But the name is interesting.
Yeah, and in a moment, Abhishek had a name. And then everything we changed to Churchill and Company.
Sagar spent a lot of time talking about that.
Yeah, actually I did.
Yeah, the reason I mentioned it is because when you said that it's, the young gentleman's kind of brand. So it's got a very English feel to it, a little British feel to it. And the best part is that it still has Indian heart. So everything you're doing is you're making in India, you're, styling it yourselves. You have a team of, your own people working on a brand like that and still giving that international feel to people who would like to probably experience that kind of luxury in footwear. So that's pretty awesome, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
I asked you about the lockdown earlier in this conversation. I think probably my first question was about the lockdown, considering what we're all doing. And in fact, something like this would have happened in studio if you guys would have flown down, of course.
Absolutely.
But we would have been sitting in a soundproof studio instead of this particular thing. But nonetheless, where there's a will, there's a way, as they say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Question is, with this current scenario, Abhishek and Sagar, with the kind of obstacles that the overall economy will face, considering the whole virus and lockdown and all the things that are happening around us globally.
Correct.
What do you see is the future of business in general, and what are the kind of measures you guys are taking to stay consistent in this crisis?
Okay. Like we've had endless, chats and conversations around this area in terms of business continuity and, what the future is. See, I would say that more than challenging, these are unprecedented times. Like nobody has seen this before. Nobody has seen something like this unfold before in the modern day. And it's not only restricted to business. It's about personal life and personal goals. It'll
Right.
impact our kids. It'll impact everyone. So, while there is no right or wrong answer as of today, but the fact is that the businesses have come to a standstill. See, for us, the offline retail is completely shut as of today. And
Right.
I would say that Churchill, being a premium brand, is not exactly a priority right now in the minds of all end consumers. People will not prioritize going shopping right now. This I'm talking about
Right.
absolutely immediately. Because footwear is an occasion-related product for many people. Parallel to that, so Amazon and our company, our in-house website, like contributes to about 60% of our entire business. And what we had initially thought was that okay, offline has stopped, but the assumption was that we will continue with the online business.
Right.
And for a short period of time, hopefully till the first week of May, things will get relaxed and non-essential items will start servicing. But for now, our online and offline business has completely stopped. Our partners have stopped supplying, and that's when we thought that what are we going to do in a situation like this? Do we just sit at home and do nothing, or you make something out of this time? So, that's when the team sat together and we thought that, okay, we are going to make the best of the situation. See, in my little experience of few years, I would urge other brands to also follow this. This is a time for brands to actually go out and connect with their consumers. People are on their phones and they are watching a lot of TV and they are on their laptops. So, this is a time to connect with your consumer, vis-a-vis pushing for sales, because all channels are locked right now. If you talk about the team internally, initially it was funny that how people would, always turn up to work late, or we'd always have other prior engagements. Right now, I would say that internally our productivity has increased.
Absolutely.
Yes. Right.
Because you wake up in the morning and word go, your TDL is in front of you and you start working.
Yes.
So that's there, and then we thought that okay, fine, we have two options. Either you go completely quiet or you go all guns blazing, and this is the time to connect with users, build your community, and build the brand. So I'll give you a good
Absolutely.
example. So leather is a natural product, and like humans, like us, it needs care and pampering as well. So we came up with a very interesting contest. Okay, Sagar's idea again. We came up with a really interesting contest where we sent our entire database, our technique of how to maintain and shine your shoes at home. Right, and the response was really good. We got several emails of people sending us questions about questions and their own techniques. So we felt that we were effectively able to engage with our consumers, put some knowledge that we had, which we had never shared with them out there. And they have now in turn asked us for so many other solutions that, okay, how do I do this? How do I do that? So we thought that, okay, we'll probably come up with more engaging content and send it out. Sagar, you want to add something to that?
So yes, so once we had this thing rolling, then I thought like what else people can do, while they're sitting at home, and how, related to shoes, there are a lot of problems in, storage of shoes. So what I thought was it will be a really nice thing wherein we could explain, because again, as Abhishek said, leather needs proper pampering, so it needs to be stored in a particular way. So then we thought that, we should come out with how to, store your leather shoes and how to stack them up properly in a storage place and make the best utilization of the space.
It doesn't take up too much space.
Yes, so we are coming up with this thing as well.
So we are coming up with interesting content like this, and we'll be sending this out very soon to our consumers.
I think this is a great way for your consumers to actually feel the product, subconsciously
Yes.
connect with your brand, even though they're unable to purchase it directly. And like you mentioned, definitely luxury is not priority right now.
Yeah.
Not for anybody.
Absolutely.
So we're going to fall back on the necessities. We want to fall back on the basics. I mean,
Right.
it's literally like bread and butter. As long as you're getting that currently, I think everybody's comfortable.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
you being able to give people the kind of advice to nurture and pamper and look after and care for what they already have in terms of your products, or in terms of the kind of products that you probably are out to kind of supply to the demand. It's pretty interesting, because I think that also is something that other entrepreneurs should learn from both of you, to keep themselves not only motivated, because I think it's nice validation when you're getting all these emails and you're getting people
Absolutely.
sharing their thoughts, right?
No,
Right.
which is true, and there is a huge support, and you feel so. We were, down and out, and everyone was sending out, emails of how, like all brands sent out communication, and we sent out a very short note about to all our consumers about, that okay, guys, we are doing well. We hope you guys are doing well, and we'll be back shortly. And we had so many email responses in a few hours, and that really boosts your confidence at a difficult time like this. And I think that was one of the reasons why we thought that okay, fine, we are going to not focus on a very salesy pitch, and we are in fact going to right now focus on reaching the consumers organically. So far I think it's working, and I would urge other brands to also do the same. Nonetheless, this is something that we are doing right now. Going forward, I have a very positive feeling that it will not be a time where people are going to go back to bare necessities permanently. Retail and luxury and the indulgence category will prevail, and it will soar. I was just reading a few write-ups about how Maruti and Hero and all these other brands are quite bullish about the post-COVID quarters, because obviously people will be now more comfort. They will be using alternative modes of transports also possibly, but there are brands out there who are saying that things will get better. People will come out. They would want to spend. They would want to go out shopping, eat out, and the life will return to normal. We will be more cautious, and it'll be a fresh way of looking at the world once this is over.
There was this study, this advertising study, which I had done back in university also, some part
Right.
Of my studies. And it was to do with, I don't know if you've heard, but it's a famous study about the classic Coke and the new Coke.
Okay.
So when classic Coke was suddenly rebranded as New Coke in the market, and when it was rebranded as New Coke, what really happened is that people weren't able to relate to it.
Okay.
So what they did is they landed up consuming a lot of Pepsi and the other competitive brands, and considerable sales went down, considerable profits went down for Coke.
Okay.
The company decided is, we'll just go back to rebranding ourselves and say that, hey, we are back as Classic Coke.
Okay.
Now when they did that, they literally shot up sales 300 times of their original sales. They literally ate the whole market up when they went back to the original. So what I'm trying to get to with this analogy is the fact that we are used to our luxuries. As much as we want to pretend like it doesn't matter, it does matter. And I think you're right about being bullish once this is over, because I think people will just bounce back with that much love for what they really enjoyed doing, whether it be restaurants, whether it be
Absolutely.
buying their best brands, going to their favorite places, watching a film, so etc. etc. So I feel that there will be a sudden rise in the possible profits and the escalation in luxury items in general because of this mentality. You go back to what you used to relate to, like the classic.
That makes complete sense. Yes.
Right. So Abhishek and Sagar, individually, I'd love to know from both of you, because this is the Empowering series, and that's why the final segment is always this question for us.
Right.
What empowers you?
It's a really interesting question, and it did get me thinking. I would say the outcome of a consumer showing extreme delight, if I'm putting it correctly. And the fact, so as I gave this example earlier, that when we sent out COVID-19 emails to our consumers, the support and the kind of responses and the kind of words people use to communicate, telling you that, guys, you are a homegrown brand, you're doing a great job, continue. The fact is that there are loads of sources, but there's very little for a new business, there's very little information, and there are very few things that actually go out and empower you as a brand to, really do what you want to put out there. So I would say that something that empowered me as an individual, or even Churchill as a brand, is the customer delight and the acceptance of a difficult product in an overcluttered category that we are trying to crack, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely does. That's beautifully put. What about you, Sagar?
So when we talk about empowerment, okay, so the driving force that has been there for me, so I take care of the customer delight team, okay, and I talk to most of the customers myself, and I really take interest in what the team is doing. And when you hear from customers, you talk to them, they love the product, they love the processes, they love the service, okay, they love how we engage with them. That's been a really, that's been a driving force, and yes, that empowers me a lot to take the brand forward, and that keeps me motivated all the time.
That's amazing. I think both of you are very empowered by Churchill and Company, and I
Yes.
hope this empowerment takes you places and you guys grow, and this situation diffuses soon for all of us, worldwide, and everybody just gets out of it winners at the end of the day.
Yes,
right?
we will.
Yes, absolutely. So this was a rather worthy conversation and extremely insightful. Thank you so much. It's so nice to see two, young, passionate, driven people coming together and putting something so unique together. It's really nice, and I wish both of you the very best. So thank you so much for your time and your perspective.
Yes. Thank you, Zarina, for a great session. It was very interesting to
it was very interesting.
All these things that have been on our mind for such a long time. So it was a good discussion. Thank you very much.
If you liked this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on our social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram.
Do you wish you were smarter? Well, so do we. But the next best thing?
We could make you sound smarter.
And to help you with this endeavor, we are Simplified, a podcast that attempts to break down the complex world around you with a little knowledge, a lot of poor jokes, and a ton of random trivia.
Episodes out every Monday
on the IVM Podcast app or wherever you get your podcasts.
See ya!
Advertising is dead. Yep, you heard me right. Advertising is dead. We're all in the content business now. Let's not call it news, TV, radio, etc., etc. It's all content, and we're in the middle of this weirdly exciting phase where all the borders and lines that have been drawn over decades has been swept away by this lovely thing called the internet. We're a show where we don't dwell on just the stuff that is now, but rather the wider stuff about advertising, media, content, and the whole goddamn circus surrounding it. Tune in every Tuesday for our weekly unboxing of the mystery box we used to call advertising. I'm Varun Dugirala, co-founder and content chief at The Glitch, and this is my new podcast, Advertising is Dead.